Good evening. How's everyone this evening? Fantastic. Hi. Got a special hello there. So my name is Dr. Bridget Desport. I'm the Associate Dean for Strategic Initiatives here at CHRP. And I want to welcome you to the College of Health-Related Professions Inaugural Alumni Association event. We're really excited that we are finally having the opportunity to start an alumni association. So we are thrilled that you came here tonight and to be part of this special occasion. So this is the first of many alumni events, and we hope to see you at every one of them. So tonight, we have a short agenda that includes updates from the chairs of our 6 programs and a dialogue with our dean, Dr. Alan Lewis. And let's not forget the networking you will all have the opportunity to do tonight. So I believe that our alumni are the backbone of our whole operation here at CHRP. Today is all about celebrating what you have accomplished, what you are doing now in your various walks of life, and how your work points to future professional and personal fulfillments. A future in which all of us continue to raise the bar to what healthcare in the United States can be. So again, thank you for being here this evening, and thank you for the work that you do. This is really a beautiful gathering. So to get our evening started, I have the pleasure of introducing Vice President and Chief of Staff, Dr. Katherine Gwen.
Good evening. This is always so fun. Dr. Riley wanted to be here this evening. Dr. Riley obviously is the new president. For those of you who don't know, we are both new. We started in April of this year. We are excited to be here, excited to see alums come back to Downstate, obviously. You guys may not have met him. I haven't met you, but I'm excited to see our alums back, our alums from CHRP, our alums from all of our colleges and schools. So it's a very exciting time for us. Some of you, I remember somebody saying something about they had not been in the new auditorium, I believe actually one of our employees. So this is sort of the first of many things that we're doing at Downstate in terms of making it look like a different institution, but with the same feel, with the same quality education that you guys received are now gainfully employed. So we're happy that you've come back to see what we're doing here. We want to stay in touch with you guys to make sure that we're keeping that link between our us and our Downstate alums. There are many things on the horizon for Downstate. Many things that I really don't have time to consume you tonight with. I'm sure Dr. Lewis is going to share a lot of what's going on in CHRP. Eventually, you'll see the written material about what things Dr. Riley has planned for Downstate. I personally want to thank you guys for taking time after you're getting off work, I assume. Some of you are getting off work and coming to Downstate and making the trek on the train or in your cars. Thank you. At 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening, thank you. I see some of you falling asleep on me. Thank you for falling asleep on me. I understand if you need a 5-minute breather. I believe in it. I teach it in my classes that a power nap is a terrible thing to waste. So by all means, if you need to take a 5-minute breather, just fall asleep on me before Dr. Lewis gets up. But again, thank you so much for being here. These are exciting times at Downstate. They're exciting times in Brooklyn. As you see the change in Brooklyn, as does the change happen here at Downstate. Again, thank you. If you have questions for me, I'll be around for a few minutes, and I'm happy to, meet and greet. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Gwen. So now is the time to hear from our program chairs. So first, I'd like to introduce Professor Josefa Pessin of the Diagnostic Medical Imaging Program.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you again for coming out after a busy day. Alumni, it's a great opportunity to see all of you, and I hope you're all going to get involved, if you aren't already, with keeping in touch with your individual programs, because we really appreciate your input. It's always helpful for us in our silo of education to hear from the clinicians in the field about what can be enhanced in our curriculum. And I just want to share, for those of you that are here from Diagnostic Medical Imaging, you've picked a great profession. We know Bureau of Labor Statistics is projecting that the field is going to be growing by 24% in the next 8 years. So congratulations. And I'd like to just give a shout out to our faculty and clinical preceptors that are in the audience. Not only are they alumni, they came here tonight and they continue to educate all the sonographers that come through SUNY Downstate. Some of the exciting things that we're doing here is integrating a lot of simulation into our curriculum. So we're very grateful that Dean Lewis has helped us fund some of those expensive simulation purchases. We have a cardiac simulator now. We have a pelvic ultrasound simulator, and we're increasing the number of clinical activities on campus that really enhance students' scanning experience and complement their clinical experiences. So please keep in touch and let us know your email, contact information. We'd love to hear from you. And we also send out job listings for DMI. I'm sure the other programs do as well. So it's a great resource for us and an easy way to get out information to you about future job opportunities. So thanks again.
Thank you, Professor Pessin. Okay, so next I'd like to give a warm welcome to who some of the alumni have already embraced, Dr. Isaac Topper of the Medical Informatics program.
So I want to welcome all CHRP alumni for coming. And for MI alumni, I'm very humble actually to see so many of you coming out in such large numbers. So thank you for, now the alumni, our graduates support the program in many ways. And they're taking our students for their clinical internships. They give our graduates jobs, which is very thankful for that. They come back and teach courses, and we have some of our alumni teaching in the program. We have also alumni that are lecturing throughout the year, coming back, sharing their skills and knowledge with our students. And also we have alumni that are always emailing and calling and giving me advice and encouragement. So I want to thank those alumni also. And I would like also to recognize our faculty and administrator. Some of them are actually teaching right now or giving some exams. But we call them now our MI team. So I'd like to give them a little bit of, Dr. Faisal is one of our faculty. Administrator, Shanika, John. We have Fanta, who joined us, Fanta Smith. And we have some of our adjunct faculty. Chief, you want to stand up so we can recognize you? So our alumni come back and contribute to the program and supporting the program. Just briefly, I'd like to just mention some of our changes and what we are doing in the program. We did receive 2 national recognitions of the program. I don't want to say too much about it because I'm still very humble about it. But we were recognized nationally as one of the top 20 programs in the country. So we got that recognition. We also got a recognition, which I don't know how to explain that we are the most affordable program in the country. So no loans after you finish our program. That's basically what they're saying. And our key to our excellence comes from our alumni. We have alumni PhD programs and our programs. So it's a good recognition for the program that we have such a number of our graduates continuing. And other alumni holding leadership position in informatics, not only in the metropolitan area, but on a national level. So we have people in New Jersey. Anybody in New Jersey employed? Joan, you want to raise your hand? Okay. And really, truly thriving. The MI program is growing, and I want to actually thank Dean Lewis for his support in terms of giving us the resources that we need, to continue our program in a high level. We are in the process of hiring 2 new faculty members in the program. We have established a new imaging track within imaging informatics track within the medical informatics program. And we almost hired, and she's coming on board, a coordinator for the imaging informatics program. So that's a major event for us. We have admitted the largest class ever in 2017, 25 students into the program, and we had 14 on the waiting list. So we're becoming a very competitive program, and it's nice to see, and probably 2018 we'll have the same type of numbers. And we are, with the help of Downstate and the dean, we're going to have a major renovation of the MI lab on the 8th floor. So it's going to be additional capacity with new technology added to the lab. So that's it'll be a showcase for us in terms of the program. The program is going to go through accreditation in 2018 or 2019, which is going to be the first time that medical informatics programs throughout the country are going to be accredited. So it's a good recognition for us, and the program will do quite well in that capacity. And there's some other new initiatives we have, and I discussed it with the dean also, a PhD program, which I think will be highly desirable for us. And then sub-tracks also in informatics, such as public health informatics, nursing informatics, and a potential of doing the program on an online basis also, which will enhance the program in a major way. So this is just a brief. They gave me 5 minutes for the presentation. I probably am maxed out at this point, so I don't hear the music, so I am assuming I'm not being pulled off. So what I like to, at the end of the formal presentation, if MI alumni, if you can go to the 8th floor, you can talk a little bit among yourselves, and you'll get a chance to meet our first-year students in medical informatics. So after we finish, we can meet on the 8th floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Topper. And those alumni from medical informatics, make sure you get food first before you head upstairs, okay? All right. So moving the program along, please welcome Dr. Ronnie Lichtman of the Midwifery program.
Good evening, everybody. I share with the rest of the chairs greetings to bring to you, and I'm happy to see you all. We just have a few midwives here. I see a midwifery student as well. Thank you all for coming. I want to thank Dean Lewis and Dean Desport for organizing this event. Thank you so much. We've had lots of new initiatives under the leadership of Dean Lewis, and we appreciate that. The midwifery program has continued to maintain its reputation in the community as one of the finest places to become a midwife. We have a reputation for clinical excellence, and we have never lost that. We had a few years where our classes were smaller because we didn't get as many applicants. Perhaps we didn't have as much grant money, but we have always maintained that reputation of sending the best prepared and the most clinically excellent midwives into the community. And we thank our alumni for helping us do that. We rely on our alumni to precept our students. We rely on our alumni to come and teach classes for us. We have Ellen, who's here with us today, who just came from teaching a class. She finished her class and came to this meeting. So we really do thank you. As far as initiatives and what's new in our program, that's what we were asked to speak about. Well, we have more students. We have the largest classes this year and last year that we've had in a number of years. It's a challenge sometimes to find clinical placements, but so far we have risen to that challenge every single year, and we fully intend to continue to rise to that challenge. We have more students every year who, about 20 years ago, we started an innovative program. We were the first in the country to bring midwives from diverse backgrounds. Midwifery has always been connected to nursing, and New York State, about 20 years ago, a little longer, passed legislation. It went through the Board of Regents, the State Board of Ed, to open our profession and to make it an independent profession without necessarily needing a nursing background. And every year we have more and more of our student midwives. We still have our student nurse midwives. We love them both. We teach them in an integrated program. If you came to one of our classes, you would not know who was a nurse beforehand or who wasn't. If you went to one of our clinical sites, you would not know if this person had been a nurse. We say you come, the only difference between our nurse midwives and our midwives is what they enter the program with. When they leave, they have identical credentials. So we're very proud of continuing to do that. And every year we have more and more. We also have great diversity. We have a reputation in the midwifery community nationally for being probably the most diverse from an ethnic and racial standpoint of any midwifery program. I don't know how much credit we can take for that. I think it's the community we live in. I think it's the reputation that we have, and students flock to us from many different backgrounds. But we're very proud of that, and we think it enriches our classes, it enriches our student body, it enriches our faculty to teach such a diverse group of midwives, midwifery students. So that's been very exciting for us. It's one of the reasons I'm happiest of all the places I've been. I'm happiest to be at Downstate, and that's one of the main reasons. What we've done innovatively in the last few years is we created challenge mechanisms so that students from other professions, such as nurse practitioners, physician assistants who would like to become midwives, can possibly fast-track the program, or internationally trained midwives. We get a lot of queries from internationally trained midwives who can challenge certain of our courses, so we're very excited about that. We have a new elective. We've never had an elective before, and this was not my idea. It was the idea of a friend of mine, but I was able to implement something called continuity of care, and this will mean a lot to the midwives in the audience. We can't offer home birth experience for most of our students. There's not enough home birth midwives in the community, and they don't have the malpractice insurance, so we can't offer that. So we now have an elective where students can shadow in their first year before they start other clinical experiences, a home birth midwife, a home birth family. They follow them through their whole birth experience, attend the birth, attend the visits after the birth, and students who are also doing a qualitative research study on whether or not this influences students' attitudes toward this birth option, and we're finding amazing results. We haven't published yet. We're still in the process of gathering data, but some unexpected findings as well, some advantages of this course that I wasn't even expecting when we created it. So that's very exciting. We have a lot of simulation equipment that we're doing right now. We have a birth model, what's her name, Noelle. We have all kinds of equipment that we're more and more integrating simulation into our program. We have to thank one of our faculty, particularly who's not here tonight, Alita Yanis Oberstein, who is an expert. She has certification in the use of simulation education, and she's really brought that to us. Our other two faculty, Marianne Laffin and Suzanne Schechter, are teaching classes right now with students. So we're very, very, very busy, and so we're not all able to be here. So once again, I welcome you. We're excited. Oh, wait, I forgot one thing. I almost forgot our most important innovation, I think, and that's our doctorate in midwifery. There's only, we were hoping to be #1, but because of the slow process of approval in New York State is a progressive state, but it's a slow state. And we will be #2 in having a doctorate in midwifery for our own, both for our nurse midwives who want their doctorate in their own profession, and for people who who are midwives, certified midwives, they will have a doctorate. We're very excited about the program. We're bringing it to the Board of Trustees. We're hoping for approval this month. We've been working on it for many, many years, and we're excited to see it come to fruition. The curriculum is outstanding. We were able to bring together, through a grant from New York City Midwives, a group of exemplary midwives and others together to create a curriculum that, I mean, some of these things I'm not interested in particularly. There's so many courses, and when I look at the course syllabi, I say, I want to take that course. I didn't think I was interested in that, but I want to take that course. That's how exciting the curriculum is, and we're hoping to have lots and lots of students. So thank you for listening, and I probably took more than my 5 minutes as well, and enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Dr. Lichtman. Okay, so Dr. Olenko, the interim chair of the Occupational Therapy program, she couldn't be here tonight. She asked me to apologize on her behalf and asked me to read her updates. Okay. So, welcome to all the CHRP alumni. Here are the changes in the program. Dr. Joy Sabari and Professor Joan Murray retired this summer. And as I mentioned before, Dr. Olenko is now serving as the interim chair. Our new associate professor and admissions coordinator is Vikram Pagpatan. He is a certified assistive technology specialist with a specialty in seating and mobility needs and operates his own consulting company. He comes to us from the Veterans Hospitals and has been teaching as an adjunct in the OT program for the past year. We currently have 3 cohorts of about 34 students at each level, and we thank all of our alumni who have served as fieldwork supervisors and who help with our admissions interviews each year. We just graduated our first cohort of 5 students to our elective program, the Specialization in Early Intervention, and we are working in an academic partnership with, okay, I'm going to do these letters, NYCDOHMH. That's the Bureau of EI, to provide interprofessional training to future OTs to work with families in early intervention. We just submitted a letter of intent for the post-professional online OTD program, and we were recently approved to continue the proposal and curriculum phase. The online program will have a core curriculum and 2 specialty tracks, one OT for children and families, and the other OT adults with disabilities or chronic diseases. We hope to get approval for the next year to start. We have a very active student occupational therapy association who do community service throughout the New York City metropolitan areas. So recently, they collaborated with the PT students in an organization called Life Rolls On for an event called They Will Surf Again, and brought together volunteers, families, and people of all ages with disabilities to spend a day at the ocean. The PT and OT students and other volunteers assisted people with disabilities and with surfing and transferring on and off of their surfboards. On September 20th, the Student Association held our annual Backpack Awareness Day and went to local area schools to educate the students on backpack safety. And lastly, on October 22nd, they participated in SUNY Downstate's 3rd annual Autism Fair with a sensory motor space which was well received by the community. So we hope to partner with our alumni on future academic initiatives and clinical placements, and thank you for coming out this evening. So I can't thank Dr. Olenko because she's not here, but moving things along, please welcome Dr. Joan Katz of the Physical Therapy Program.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming to our inaugural alumni event. Well, for those of you who are a PT alumni in the audience, we still have the same faculty we've had in recent years, but just as an announcement to let you know that Dr. Laurie Seckel will be retiring next year. So we have a lot of very big shoes to fill to do all of those neuro courses that Dr. Seckel tackles. So the PT program, as you know, has been graduating DPT students, doctor of physical therapy students, for over a decade now. And what's important that you guys should know, that are alumni, is that students can matriculate into our program with only 3 years of college, because by the time they graduate, they get a BS in health science and a doctorate in physical therapy. So if you have any college students who come through your clinics, doing their volunteer hours, and they're getting ready to apply to PT school, remind them that they can apply to Downstate PT program after only 3 years of college. They should make their application in their junior year, and they can shave a year off of, their full preparation to become a physical therapist. So let me give you an update now on some of the things that have been going on in our program. I'm very happy to announce that our class of 2017, which graduated in June, they took their licensing exam in July, and we had a 100% pass rate on that exam, which we're very happy about. So we're involved in a number of initiatives and activities. A couple of years ago, 3 of us PT faculty went with the Trinbago Progressive Association from here at Downstate. We went down to Trinidad and Tobago on a medical mission, and we did physical therapy, and we offered health services every day at health fairs at different places around Tobago. We're going to be going back with the Trinbago Progressive Association this coming summer. So I want to welcome anybody who has, not just PTs, but OTs and any of the other professions that could offer health services to the people down in Trinidad and Tobago. If you want to talk to me later on, I can, give you some more information about that. We're now involved with the college with informing a pipeline program so that we can interest local students in the various professions in the college. We're very interested in physical therapy to reach out to high school and even middle school age children so that they can learn about our profession, and if they're thinking about PT, they could, by the 3rd year in college, they could be applying to our program. So certainly, if any of our alumni are interested in getting involved with this initiative and helping us to reach out to young people and giving them information about your profession, I would welcome that. Just, come and talk to me after the session tonight. Also, to let you know on a community service note, on the local community, we had over 20 PT students, our 1st and 2nd year students, along with some PT faculty and program administrator. We participated in the Brooklyn Heart and Stroke Walk, which took place in downtown Brooklyn a few weeks ago. And the PT education continues, as PT education continues to evolve, the Downstate PT program continues to keep up with the latest trends. One of the things that's happening now is, in addition to our full-time clinical education that we offer, 39 weeks of clinical education, we're now going to start a process of doing integrated clinical education, what's called ICE. This is something that all PT programs are doing now, so that the students will have some part-time clinical educational experiences that take place during some of the courses that they're taking. So for some of you who are our PT alumni, consider taking some of our students for some of these part-time observational type of experiences. So I'd love to speak to our PT alumni when we get done today about a lot of the things that we're doing in our program, and see if you'd like to get involved with other things as well, like teaching, doing some adjunct teaching in our program. So I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight to our inaugural event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Katz. And by the way, it was purely a coincidence that Dr. Lichtman, Dr. Katz, and I are wearing the same color dress. Purely a coincidence. So it was like a downstate vibe that we were feeling before this evening, and somehow we ended up with the same dress. So, last but certainly not least, Professor Felix Nwamagina. I didn't even get to finish my sentence of the Physician Assistance Program.
Thank you, and welcome everyone. Given that this is supposed to be an alumni event, I was actually expecting music and dancing. And anyway, I thank the Dean of our college Dr. Alan Lewis, for really making sure that the Alumni Association for Downstate, CHRP, takes off. Anyone from the class of 1993? Any program? Okay, that was the greatest class. I'm not only the chair of the PA program, but also an alumnus. And I think one of the things that I remember very clearly, very well, was the students from across all the programs were so very, close. That hasn't been the case, recently. I think we're all in our respective, silos, which isn't really a good thing for an alumni association for our college. And I'm using this opportunity to challenge you guys to really network and get to know where your colleagues from the other programs have been. Anyway, so the first class of PA students in 1990 was only 15 students. And now we have a class of 45 students. So the program has grown. We also are continuing to improve in our board scores. I think one of the things that has really stood our program apart from other programs in CHRP is that we continue to recruit and graduate the most diverse group of students. And I think you need to give us a round of applause. If you don't, I'll give it to myself. Okay, so we are really doing very well in that regard. We transitioned to our master's curriculum with the incoming class this past summer. So the class of 2019, the inaugural master's class. For those who are not in PA profession, you know that most of our professions have made the move to the master's being the minimum or the entry-level clinical degree for a lot of our professions. So we were actually the last 5 programs in New York State to eventually transition to a master's. And the reason is because we wanted to make sure that that transition took into account the feeder schools who needed to have ample time to prepare students to not only come in but also do well. So we are doing well in that regard. We are also going to, for our alumni, for those who did finish from SUNY Downstate PA program, classes of 1992 to at least 2018, we are going to begin our master's completion program sometime next year, or as soon as Middle States grants Downstate the right to offer online classes. But for those of you guys who live in Brooklyn, we encourage you to, given that this is a collaborative degree with the School of Public Health, to begin taking those classes that are currently available in the School of Public Health, so that by the time next year swings around, you'll be almost halfway done. In 2020, our program will be celebrating its 30th year anniversary. And we are planning an alumni event that attracts, students or graduates from the classes of 1992 to, of course, 2020. And we also, are going to extend the invitation to every alumnus of our college, from the programs that have been here for 50 years to the new ones. And one of the highlights of that event is that we're going to be hosting a traveling exhibition in conjunction with the National Library of Medicine that really documents the progress that our profession has made over the last 50 years. I'm sure most PA graduates will realize that this year is the 50th year anniversary for our profession. The first 3 students, 4, unofficially, who to get into a PA class at Duke, did so in 1967. And it's taken us at least 50 years to get to this point, and our profession still continues to grow. One of the things that I want the graduates of the PA program from CHRP to know is that our profession continues to be on a transformative path. And I recently came back from a national conference where the 4 guiding organizations for our profession had meetings with the American Hospital Association and American Medical Association. And the expectation is that for new graduates, we have to push to make sure that those graduates are really ready to hit the ground running on day one. And where our alumni comes in is because most of you, if not all, are clinical preceptors. You can't look the other way when you have those students under your wing. So we depend on our graduates to really make sure that we increase the competency level of upcoming graduates so that patients are better served and society is better served. My time off. All right, so I'm hoping that at least by the next time that we have this Dean Lewis, maybe we'll have it in an event that we can actually dance, mingle around. And I just want to wish everyone well. Now, before I leave the podium, I want to remind every alumnus of every program. Most students in my class will be shocked to find out that I'm the program director for the PA program. And it's not because I am not qualified, but it's just because I was the least likely to actually want to do this. I was the most reserved student in the class. But I think one of the ways that I came to doing this is because I came back to volunteer. I came back to help because I wanted to help make a difference in the future graduates of our program. That's one of the ways you give back. And you may not want to teach. You may not want to get involved in academia, PT, OT, midwifery, medical informatics, or any one of our programs. But I challenge any one of you guys here, come back, teach. Feel good about making a difference, not only for that person that you're teaching, but also for our respective professions in general. I wish you guys the best.
Thank you, Professor Nwamangina. Okay, so I don't know if some of you know that we have another associate dean here at CHRP. So if you will allow me to take a moment to introduce our associate dean for program development, Dr. Margaret Kaplan. She's just going to stand up. She's not going to talk. By the way, she is an alumna of the Occupational Therapy program here at Downstate. Okay, so now for the main event of this evening, a conversation with our dean, Dr. Alan Lewis.
Good evening, everyone. We have amazing programs, don't we? We do. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedules and braving the traffic to get here after traditional work hours. We really appreciate you coming out. So when we started thinking about this event, I had in mind a much smaller, less formal event. But what happens is you surround yourself with great people, and then things take on a life of their own. So we have a much grander event than I initially envisioned, but that's fine. So although we don't have the dancing that Professor Nwamangina talked about, we did have music early on, though. So first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the Dean's Office staff and the chairs and everybody who's involved in planning this event. And because nothing like this ever happens without a team approach. So we want to thank everybody, especially Dr. Desport and Assistant Dean Bones, who's floating around here somewhere, who put a lot of time and effort into making sure this event was a nice event tonight. For our most important people, our alumni. So My thought was that we'd have a conversation, that I would have what I call a chat with alums, dean's chat with alums. And we'll do that. I've got to say a few things on the front end, but then it will be hopefully a two-way interaction, a dialogue, if you will. So I wanted to give you a brief update, which is also in written format. You may have gotten it at the table when you came in, and then we'll start into hearing some of your ideas, because the main thing we want to do tonight is to not only update you on things that have happened in my short time with the college, 22 months, so I still feel new, not quite 2 years, but also hear from you about ways that you can become involved with us. We have some ideas about that. We want to make sure that you also engage with us and help us identify additional ideas and fully develop the rough ideas that we currently have. It's important to realize that even though we had each chair up here talking about each of the respective 6 programs that we have right now in CHRP, we also want to promote a college-wide identity because we want to make sure that you feel like you have some ownership not only of your own program that you graduated from, but all of the college or health-related professions. So we're trying to promote that sort of that big picture identity as well. Now, alums are a key voice for all of us because you are, in a sense, the offspring of CHRP. You are our key users of the product that we try to peddle here in our college, the education that you've gotten, right? So if we don't know what you think about what's going on in your lives, we don't have our finger on the pulse of how well our product is working for you. So it's very important for us to start this relationship and keep it ongoing over time, because you are out there using the things that presumably you learned here and things you're learning as you're out there as well. But we need to know how that's going, because that helps us to shape and refine and to tweak what we're doing here to make sure that the next generation of persons in your professions will be even more prepared than even you are. So it's all about making sure that we do succession planning, that we give back, that we have feedback from you, so that as we prepare that next generation, they're going to face challenges far and above what we're facing right now, what you're facing, because the world is becoming more and more complicated, as we know. So we want them to have the advantage of your wisdom in addition to the wisdom we give them here in the programs. So I'm not going to do a lot of talking. I know I said that, and I'll say that a few times, and you won't believe me until I'm quiet. So there was a sheet that I'm going to run over real quickly just to give you a feel for the things we're working on college-wide in my time here, my short time here. It's called Continuous Quality Improvement Efforts in CHRP. Now, continuous quality improvement. So that means that the College of Health-Related Professions was always a quality operation. We just celebrated, in the year that I started, our 50th anniversary. So we've been doing some good things, some great things, some excellent things for a long time, for half of a century, right? So it's not just because any one of us is here that we became a great college. We've always been a great college. But we're continuing to get better because, as we know, as we go forward, we've got to continue to get better and progress over time. So this sheet gives you just a feel of 8 areas that I'm trying to impact early on in my time here. So let's start at the bottom, which is the foundation. Bottom left, improve operational capacity and infrastructure here in the college. So Dr. Desport just mentioned that she's the Associate Dean of Strategic Initiatives, and also Dr. Kaplan is the Associate Dean for Program Development. So one of the first things I wanted to do when I came in was to make sure we had enough infrastructure capacity, if you will, in the dean's office to make sure we could move forward with some of our key initiatives. So program development, Dr. Kaplan's purview, really is designed to make sure that we have all the programs and degrees that we need to have in our portfolio. And you heard from all the other program chairs that we have several new degrees that we're developing. So that's really what Dr. Kaplan is pushing on. So over time, we want to expand the footprint of CHRP. We already are the most diverse and interprofessional college here on campus, because medicine, even though there are many specialties in medicine or nursing or public health, they all have the base identity of a physician or a nurse. That's not the case here in CHRP. So we are all very different and distinct professions, and we're growing our footprint over time because we're growing new programs. So Dr. Kaplan is in charge of that. Dr. Desport is doing sort of a smorgasbord of a whole bunch of things: strategic planning, community engagement, data-driven decision-making, all kinds of things. So she's got a sort of a mixed bag of responsibilities. Keeps things interesting for her in terms of having a lot of things to work on. So we have the 2 new associate deans. We're also pushing to make sure that we do more learning using data. As you all know, data is a very important thing, and so we're trying to make more decisions based on data. So we're trying to push the envelope there somewhat. We're doing more continuous strategic planning under Dr. Desport's leadership. Strategic planning is a process that doesn't just happen every so often. It's supposed to be a continuous process where we identify our vision, our mission, our goals, our objectives, our values, and we tweak them continuously over time. So that's a continuous process. You may have heard mention of distance learning programs. We're trying to get into the distance learning business. That certainly expands our ability to recruit persons if we don't have to just draw from people who can drive in to on-campus classes. We just started our work with a consultant who's helping us around team building. We all function in teams within our respective programs, so we've got a consultant on site that's helping us enhance our functioning in that way. We'll do some fund development soon. We're just starting to think about how we can begin to generate new funds through philanthropy. You know, really, there are only two sources of new funds for state-supported institutions: research dollars and dollars that people give. So we're trying to get into the fund development business. And we're updating our promotion and tenure process. It's already a good process, but we're making it better. I'm going to move quickly because I know that I'm the only thing between you and talking to your respective chairs and our refreshments. So that's that very first bottom left quadrant, improving operational capacity and infrastructure. We're also improving or expanding, I should say, our programmatic footprint, which is what I just said Dr. Kaplan's responsibility is. We've got new programs coming into our midst. We have the post-professional OT doctorate, the post-professional midwifery doctorate. We have a new applied behavior analysis master's program and advanced certificate that will soon be, we hope, on the ground and accepting students. We also have a couple of certificate programs, a community health worker program that really doesn't require anything beyond a GED or a diploma to enroll, because we want to make sure that we begin to meet the Brooklyn community where it is. And we all know that our professions here in CHRP are professions that the average Joe or Jane out in the lay population doesn't always know what midwifery is or medical informatics, right? The average fifth grader, you say, what is occupational therapy or a midwife or a medical informaticist? They won't know. You say, what's a nurse or a physician? They have a pretty good idea about that, right? So we know that our professions are somewhat non-traditional. So what we're trying to do is begin to develop pathways in from the community that's around us so we can get people exposed by meeting them where they are. The community health worker program is one of those programs. So we go out and we essentially train paraprofessionals and say, okay, here's a profession that you can get involved in right now. Go through this, however many weeks it is, program that we are offering. And then once you're in that program, we'll kind of enlighten people on all the other options we have within our college. So that's one of the ways to try and develop those pathways in. We also have a medical coding certificate program that we actually started years ago, but it was outside of our college. We're bringing that back into our fold right now and working on putting that online. We're also developing additional pipelines with middle school and high schools around, and doing some work with SUNY or Westbury. But they are mostly an undergraduate institution. We're trying to capitalize on the fact that they have a lot of health science undergrad majors who want to come and do things like we have offered here in CHRP, like PA and PT and occupational therapy. So we're working to do that as well. So all those things are serving to expand our footprint programmatically as a college. So right now, you see we have those 6 leaves. Probably in the next 5 years, we'll have a few more leaves in addition beyond 6. Improve the organizational climate morale. We're very much interested in making sure that people feel like working in CHRP is a great place, and that people have a good attitude and that the climate supports innovation and creativity. So we are now doing an annual survey of our morale and our climate within CHRP, and we've also created an organizational development committee that looks at the results of that survey annually, and based on what it says about people's feeling about working here, they then create and innovate and suggest innovative solutions and strategies and interventions to help improve the climate and morale. Out of that committee's work, we've got the newsletter. We have now CHRP faculty and staff awards that we do once a year. We're currently doing some studies of CHRP salaries so we can make sure that our hardworking faculty and staff are adequately compensated. We have some flexible work schedules now. Each program is kind of working on that as they see fit. And we're trying to be more open in routinely recognizing the great things that our faculty and staff do. So when I hear about somebody having done something that's great, I try to send an email out to everybody that says, please join me in congratulating this person or that person for having been recognized or honored in this way. Improving our course content. Our courses are great, and we all know that our accrediting bodies pretty much mandate what we have to address. So one of the things I'm big on is that we train people in all 6 disciplines here in CHRP. And the reality is that we provide excellent training, right? Excellent education. Dr. Lichtman, I hate when I say training. Excellent education to our students. But the other reality is that if you don't attend OT here at an OT program at CHRP, and you attend it somewhere else that's accredited, you can also be an excellent OT. We're not the only game in town. So what I want us to do is have something that's more distinctive about what you get here at CHRP. So not only will you be an excellent PA or a midwife or a sonographer and the rest of our disciplines, but we want to make sure that you have something above and beyond just being an expert clinician. So I have what I call a Skills for Global Leadership initiative, where I'm beginning to talk to students in the various disciplines. I hope to put online very soon a seminar that I want people to take, where we talk about, in addition to being an expert PA or a medical informaticist, what other kind of skills can you have as an additional overlay to complement your clinical expertise that give you much more career advancement potential when you go out and hit the workplace and stand beside that person from NYU who has the same training you do. You know, we want to be able to say that you have an additional set of skills above and beyond the clinical expertise that you've gotten here that sets you apart as a Downstate CHRP graduate. So we're working on that. As part of that, we're trying to infuse culture into every course. Right now, we're working on trying to measure how much culture. Well, we're getting ready to do this with Dr. Desport's help. Get a baseline perspective on how much the concept of culture is already in each course, because we're going to do some research on this. But then once we get that baseline perspective, then we'll actually embark on a process to make sure that we integrate culture into every single course that we offer here, because culture is so important to us now, right? Obviously. And we're making sure that we have the latest technology in all our classrooms, because that obviously helps us deliver course content in the most cutting-edge, state-of-the-science kind of way. Okay, moving back up to the top of that sheet on the far left, improving student connections. So just like we're doing this chat with the dean today, one of the things we started last year is routine student chats with the dean. So once each semester, I meet with all the students, or at least invite the students in for a non-topical, open discussion about anything the students want to talk about, because I feel like it's important for the dean to have his or her finger on the pulse of what our students are thinking. That's what this session is really designed to be. And so in just a few seconds, I'm going to turn it over to you and kind of hear what you want to say. So we were trying to improve student communications, same thing on the alumni side in terms of community connections, because you folks are now members of the community. So the first thing we want to do is to make sure we have those routine chats with our alums so that we constantly know what's on your mind relative to how things are going with you as you're out there changing the world in positive ways based on the experience you had here at Downstate. We also want to launch a new initiative pretty soon where we bring Brooklyn professionals into our classroom. We know that we are experts in our respective disciplines, but there are also experts out there in the Brooklyn community who are also practicing PTs and OTs and medical informaticists and all the other disciplines we have. We want to make sure we bring them into our classrooms more routinely, because that gives us an additional community connection. And some of you folks would be obvious persons to be involved in coming in to help us teach in those ways. Spot lectures, not necessarily teaching the entire course, but coming in for guest spots. We also are developing some unique partnerships. Right now, with Dr. Desport's help, we're in conversation with Brooklyn Probation to see what it is they do. They have a whole array of services in Brooklyn Probation that they're hooking up their clientele to that helps make sure that they integrate back into society and have success. And so one of the things we've thought about is, okay, how can we as a College of Health-Related Professions partner with them to offer them some support, to offer education, some screening, some awareness of health issues, whatever it may be. So we're just beginning conversations with them to figure out how we can partner together to make our community engagement more successful and more inviting. And so we're trying to figure out how we go. So that's one example. So we're doing that more and more. And we also want to bring Brooklyn health professionals into our outside of the classroom, but into a lunchtime speaker series where we can hear more from the things that are happening in the community. Moving on, improving research output. We have two big missions as academics: to teach and to train the next generation of the workforce, and to advance the knowledge base in our respective disciplines. It's that advancing of the knowledge base that equals research. So one of the things we need to do a lot more of in all our free time, I know it's hard to do because we have so much teaching going on, is producing more research, writing more articles, writing more book chapters, doing more conference presentations, securing more grants so we can begin to do more writing and those kinds of things. So one of the things we're doing is we've tried to identify once per month time where we open up the hour for anybody in CHRP and people outside of our college as well to come and sit down and talk about ideas for research, ideas for grants, ideas for book chapters, articles. We want to brainstorm what those ideas are. We want to vet those ideas as a group. You know, a group of brains is better than one brain. You may have an idea, but if you take it before your peers and really talk about it, it really becomes stronger after that vetting process is gone through. And then we want to make sure we have the collaborations across our disciplines to make sure we put together the teams that can really do the best research. And we have a new thing we did for the first time last spring called the Clinical Case Study Roundtable event, which was we had a committee led by Dr. Marianne Laughlin, who just came in from Midwifery. And the idea there is we have a common, thorny, challenging clinical case that we present in this room. We have an actual actor or actress who actually stands in for the part, and then we have each of our 6 disciplines within CHRP talk about what they would do from a clinical perspective to serve that client. And so that gives us a chance to see holistically everybody in the college what would happen in an acute care situation when the PAs come in to deal with the acute medical situation. What happens later on when it's time to think rehab when the PA person gets involved. So we have that as an event that's going to be an annual event. We're just now beginning to think about planning it for this spring. We are doing it right now in CHRP, but we also envision opening that up to be more broad here on campus to include public health and nursing and medicine. Actually, we had public health to come in and have a role in it last year when we did it for our first time. So I think I pretty much hit everything on my sheet. Those are the kinds of things we're trying to do as sort of college-wide initiatives to sort of make sure that we continue to have that competitive edge and we do all we can to be the best health-related sciences college we can be. With that, I'm going to stop talking so much and invite you all to talk with me and to give me feedback on anything you've already heard or anything the other chairs have already said. And throw your ideas out. We're very interested in developing our alumni association and getting all our alums involved with us on a regular basis. And there are lots of ways to do that, but we really want to hear what your thoughts are. So I'm stopping. The floor is now open. Anyone, jump in. Yes?
Okay, I think you guys need to add massage therapy program.
Massage therapy, okay. Yeah, massage therapy, yeah. You know, there are lots, you know, as you think about allied health and health-related sciences, we've had, you could be right. I've had conversations with Dr. Kaplan about there probably are another 10 or 12 other allied health, health-related disciplines that are currently not in CHRP that would be candidates for us to pull in as new degree programs. And so we're looking at everything. So that's a great suggestion. We can't do it all at once. You know, we kind of have to have a stepwise, sequential approach because our biggest constraint right now is really space, faculty, and clinical sites. So even though we may have the capacity to start 5 programs in the next 2 years, we know we can't, we don't have the real capacity when it comes to space, clinical sites, and faculty. The whole, absolutely, yeah, yeah. And and my base discipline, rehabilitation counseling, which is involved in many allied health or health-related science schools across the country, isn't here. So that we have lots of candidates like that we can consider as we go forward. So right now, we already have the applied behavior analysis coming into the fold, and we have doctorate programs, medical informatics. They have no master's? So the terminal degree is associate's degree, okay, yeah. So that sounds similar to our medical informatics program, which is, we're giving folks bachelor's degrees in that, but that's well above what they really need to practice. They need an associate's degree and a certificate. What did I say? Oh, no, please do. Diagnostic Medical Imaging, yeah, sorry. Sonographers, the sonographers, right. Now, medical informatics, we're moving that to a doctorate pretty soon. We have a master's program already, so, yeah. So thank you for that suggestion. Massage therapy, duly noted. Other things. Professor Laughlin.
So I say this as an alumni from 2 years ago and not as a faculty person.
Sure.
I would love to see the name of the college change because college and
Yeah, we can do that. So let's see. Okay. And any comment you hear, if you guys want to add further commentary, feel free, or if there's an alternate point of view, feel free, jump in. Say again over here. Okay. 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 Yes. Hey, Yitzi.
First of all, thank you so much for putting this whole thing together and doing your entire staff. I'm not sure it's a specific question, but we talked about the power of alumni, what they give back to the program, how important they are. And you feel, as someone who's out in the field now, and we're inundated by all the information that's coming to our inboxes every day, sometimes we don't necessarily put this as a priority. You talk about how to attract alumni to come back and ways of reaching out, and it almost seems like psychologically you come up with different, approaches to make people interested and excited about the joint, because, as nice as the turnout is today, there's so many more people that will be here.
Right.
And, I didn't have any specific ideas, but I was wondering if you guys had.
So we have some ideas, and we wanted to hear from you. I have a few that I wrote down just before coming in here, and I can throw those out. But we also want to hear what you have to say. One of the things we can do is something. I've been at several institutions, other institutions before coming here, 4 others, and many of those institutions have done things like having an alumni stars program or an alumni stars panel, where once or twice a year you identify alumni who are doing interesting and meaningful things in the community, and you actually have a panel where they come in and talk to your students and other alums about that. We could also do a newsletter. We could do an alumni newsletter that could be, once a year, could be twice a year, could be quarterly, depending on how much horsepower we have to get it done. And in that newsletter, we can have all kinds of updates on alumni issues. We can do more of these chats. We can do, the alums can be involved more in teaching, as we said, mentoring, being preceptors. We also thought about pulling alums in to help us with our fund development efforts. In other institutions I've been in, sometimes we invite alums in to actually help us make phone calls to ask to solicit dollars. And in doing that, what you do is you make a phone call to somebody, another alum perhaps, and you say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm an alum of this program, and let me tell you what's happening in CHRP right now. And by the way, we could always use extra dollars if you're so inclined to give us a donation." So we could have you guys involved in those kinds of things. And I'm sure you guys can come up with other ideas as well. I mean, these are just beginning ideas. And any idea that we have, we want to make sure we give it some time to we want to percolate a little bit and perfect it and tweak it, and then move with it if it's something that has some traction. We also have a giving tree that we're now going to be launching pretty soon, Dr. Desport, right? Sometime this academic year, we're going to be launching a giving tree. That'll be another event that you'll be invited to. That's primarily a fund development activity. And there are other ideas. What other ideas do people have? Yeah. Yes.
Here's an idea. I spoke to one of my alumni. She's now at University of Chicago, and she says to me, "I can't come to an event that's on a Wednesday night.
Right.
I can't take a week off. So can you do it on a weekend?" So I talked to our assistant dean, and I said to him, maybe we do a Sunday brunch, around 12, 1 o'clock. We do a brunch on Sunday. That would allow people to come in for the weekend and come from out of town and give them time to get back home to wherever they're going to, at the end of the weekend.
Yeah, so we could have different ways that we schedule this, different times, different days, different venues, and we could even do an online event. I mean, who's to say that it has to every time be a live event where people actually come to a location? We could have alumni events that are really online, and they can be synchronous or asynchronous. There are lots of creative things we can do if we want. We just need to have some input from people and some help to help us not only develop the ideas, but help us implement if you have ideas on that as well. So that's a great idea. Come on, other ideas. Yes, back in the back.
It appears that most of the classes for the CHRP program
I don't know if that's the case. We have a centralized scheduling process here at Downstate, and all the classrooms that are open for consumption by all the colleges get handled through that scheduling process. I know that I think we have a preference for having our classes on the floor where our faculty are, if at all possible, because that makes it easier for our faculty to run and get things as needed. As part of the instruction. I'm in teaching about whatever topic, and then I realize I need to get something from my office that helps with this illustration. I can run 30 feet to my office and get that, and bring it in, rather than having to go to a different floor. But we certainly have access. We do use the rooms on this floor as needed. We don't typically use them for routine, every week classes throughout the semester, but we have them for events. But we can certainly, is that something, so you think it'd be more appealing in some way to use first floor classes? So plaques and pictures that we have up on the 8th and 7th floor down here, bring them down? Yeah, that's probably not a big deal, yeah. Right. Yeah, exposure to whoever comes in on the first floor, yeah, okay. Yes, good idea.
I just want to address your comment about where our classes are held. For the past 20-some-odd years, I've been teaching kinesiology, OT, and that's 60 students. So we can't do it in the CHRP classrooms upstairs. We always have a large lecture hall. We've done it in this room. We've done it in lecture hall 1. So that's all on the first floor. Dr. Margaret, who does anatomy for BT and PA, he always uses one of the lecture halls on the first floor. It's really the size of the class. If there's a small group of 24 PT students or 24 midwifery students, it's more likely to end up in the classroom upstairs.
And what you need in the class for instructional purposes. I mean, you guys have specific equipment in PT and OT and midwifery and sonography. We need the scanning equipment is, we're not going to bring that to the first floor. I mean, that has to stay up on the 7th floor. So it's a nice idea. We can do it where possible, but there are times when actually having a dedicated classroom, which we have for all our programs, really works well for us. So we'll use both options. Other comments, ideas, thoughts? Yes. Acupuncture, yeah. We haven't looked into that, but we could. Yeah, up to this point, we've not had much effort and movement in the direction of alternative approaches, even though acupuncture is now becoming a lot more mainstream. Yeah, than it used to be, yeah. Complementary, whatever the politically correct term is, but the non-mainstream approaches at this point. But some of them are becoming more mainstream. So, yeah.
They're profound.
Profound?
Yeah, acupuncture massage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been used a lot. It's becoming a lot, that particular approach is becoming really mainstream. I noticed that my son, who plays football for the Air Force Academy, recently had a post-labral tear on his shoulder and a hamstring pull, and part of the mainstay of his treatment was acupuncture. So the NCAA football teams are using it quite a lot for all kinds of things. So it's really becoming much more integrated. Chiropractic, yeah. Okay. No? Oh, PTs, that's right. PTs are sort of naturally competitive against chiropractics, yeah. Chiropractors, yeah. Will you tell me something about time, Dr. Desport?
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Desport, will you try to tell me something about time?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, then have one time.
Yeah, it's 10 after 7. I mean, I have nothing to do tonight other than I have a 6-hour drive ahead of me. I'm actually going to Virginia tonight when we're done here. But that's just me. I work hard. My days are all 12, 14 hours. So But other comments, questions, observations, ideas on how we can do things better, other than new programs? Huh? Go ahead, Dr. Jumbo, one of our illustrious MI alums. Job, okay, so we need a career planning and placement office, or maybe a placement office, huh? Yeah, not planning, because if you're in a PT program, or our programs, you already know what your career is going to be, but we need a placement function. Yeah. Come in, go ahead, speak up. I'm just writing this note. Yes. Oh, Professor Smith, go ahead. Oh, see, I forgotten Dr. Desport's going to come up and say some things. Okay. Yeah, we have some things that, to sort of wrap things up that Dr. Desport's going to do. Any final comments just for the moment? I mean, it's never final because you can always talk to us. But for today's event, go ahead.
I like what the young lady was saying. I also would like to have more presence on this floor. We walk down the hall, we do see lots of doctors' pictures. If we could have a church real estate on this floor to let others know that this is not just the doctor's building, it's our medicine, that we exist here too, it would make me feel really happy. Like our wall.
It'll make you happy? Okay. 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 Yeah. I got that message loud and clear. What else? Other ideas? I mean, a lot of awesome brains in this room. Come on. Other stuff? Fatigue? How can you be tired? What? I'm getting ready to drive 6 hours, 350 miles. Huh? And I've been here since whatever this morning. What? On your floor, the 8th floor? PA signage, okay. Okay, more alums, more ideas from alums. So we didn't have this session to hear from faculty and staff. We had this session to hear from alums. Right. Go ahead. Oh, you're alum. Okay, good. Go ahead, back in the back.
This lady. Oh.
Lady in green. Grants? What kind of grants are you talking about? Yeah, that's possible, but that's part of our research capacity building, trying to make sure we have more funded projects. And so as we move forward and get more projects funded, then we will have access to more dollars to support those kinds of activities like you're proposing. And as we have more fund development activities, we'll have more dollars we can earmark for that kind of thing. So yeah, so it'll be a process. So we're hoping to have much more of that going forward. We don't have it today, but as we go forward, we're hoping to have that materialize in a real way within the next year, 2, 3, going down. Thank you. Grants and sponsorships, got it. Another question over here? Or comment? So offer a CHRP credit card? Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. And if you do it right, you can have a certain amount of what they make go into fund development as well. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Not your final opportunity. Please continue to send us more comments, suggestions, observations, and questions. Dr. Desport, thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Dean Lewis. So I know you folks can't wait to get to the reception, but before we exit the auditorium, I want to take a moment to outline what's next for the CHRP Alumni Association. So everyone, it's time for us to have our first, were you okay? Okay. So it's time to form our first CHRP Alumni Association Council. So when you were talking about something that we can do concretely, we need you all to consider volunteering to be either officers or committee members so that we can form our CHRP Alumni Association Council, right? So it is a volunteer position, but with that, we can work collaboratively to get more ideas and really start to push a lot of these initiatives forward. So even though Mr. Bones and Mr. Bones, you received a lot of emails from him to get you here tonight. Yes, you did. So even though Mr. Bones and I and Dr. Dean Lewis, we have a lot of ideas, we need to really implement your ideas. You are the Alumni Association, not us. And I unfortunately am not a graduate of SUNY Downstate. I wish I had been. So again, we really need you to consider being a council member or, again, a committee member. And if you are so compelled to do that this evening, please grab either Mr. Bones or myself and tell us, and we will definitely be in touch with you very soon. So what Mr. Bones and I have done as of now, we have developed bylaws for the Alumni Association, for the Alumni Association. So the bylaws exist. However, we need a council to vote on and approve those bylaws so that they can be formally adopted. Okay, so you understand this is a formal process. Other things, once we get enough volunteers, we'll contact you. And we're hoping to get enough volunteers by December because the goal is to hold our first meeting in January of 2018. So next, please keep a lookout for more CHRP alumni communications, and we're going to use various social media to keep you in contact. And in that communication, we of course are going to ask for CHRP alumni volunteers to be part of our council, and we're going to keep you posted on future alumni events. So we want to really stay connected with you all. So lastly, I think maybe some of you might have been too shy, and it's okay. I may not have felt comfortable to discuss things with Dr. Lewis in this open space, but I want to really, really encourage you to go out there and complete our survey. So, Howard, do you have that slide? And if he doesn't, it's fine. Yep. The next one. Next one, please. And scratch that. So, okay. So we don't have that slide. However, and once again, thank you for joining us this evening, and please do enjoy the reception. Have a good night.